KQNY Radio News is supported by a generous grant from the Feather River Community Fund. More information about their programs and activities is online at featherrivercommunityfund.org. The news is also brought to you by Heat Transfer Systems. They can be reached at 530-283-3665 for all HVAC needs including conventional, geothermal, ductless systems, and more. We're also supported by Hunt Propane, providing bulk propane deliveries to residences and businesses at 530-283-9062, and Feather Financial, here to help with insurance, tax preparation, and accounting services. They're at 530-283-2341 and online at featherfinancial.com. Sierra Pacific Industries is committed to sustainable forest management and also supports KQNY Radio News. Information about career opportunities with SPI is available at 530-283-2820 and online at spi-ind.com/employment.
In partnership with the Plumas Sun, this is KQNY Radio News.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Dave Loschiavo. Firefighters responded to an excessive number of abandoned campfires after the recent holiday weekend.
And I'm Tommy Miles. Organizers of the High Sierra Music Festival say that the event's future remains uncertain. Stay tuned for those stories and more on this edition of KQNY Radio News.
Plumas National Forest reminds everyone to prevent escaped campfires and that there were at least 46 abandoned campfires and developed recreation sites across the forest after the recent holiday weekend. Firefighters likely extinguished more than those reported, said the Plumas National Forest. Firefighters are asking the public to be more careful and help prevent wildfires. For firefighters on the Mount Huff Ranger District, the most significant was at Gansner Bar, where an abandoned campfire managed to expand to 25 by 25 feet. On the Beckworth Ranger District, the most challenging fire was at Frenchman Lake Recreation Area, where a Plumas County Sheriff's Office patrol boat was used to access an abandoned campfire on the beach. The fire was outside the campground area, and someone had pulled boulders out of the way and driven cross-country illegally to access the site. One of the most basic parts of camping safety and fire prevention is campfires and making sure they are put out completely before leaving, said Plumas National Forest Fire Management Officer Martin Center. While we normally find a few abandoned campfires after summer holiday weekends, the number this weekend was excessive and deeply concerning. Escaped campfires can spark wildfires, yet they are preventable. Fire patrols, firefighters, and law enforcement officers were patrolling the forest throughout the holiday weekend and working with partners on fire suppression and prevention, said Plumas National Forest. We want to thank Plumas County Sheriff's Office for the assistance at Frenchman Lake to access and extinguish the abandoned campfire, as well as their ongoing support, Center said. Weather will be heating up in the coming days, and hot weather will continue to dry fuels, increasing the risk of fire, said Plumas National Forest. Human-caused wildfires are preventable, especially when some care is used to make sure campfires are out, that equipment is in proper condition and secured, and being safe while recreating or working in the forest, Center said. For more information, please see plumasun.org.
And while we're on the subject of fire safety, Plumas National Forest entered Stage 1 fire restrictions on Thursday, July 10th, based on increased fire danger rating and fire behavior indices combined with drying fuels. Despite an average snowpack this last season, early season hot temperatures have melted the snowpack faster than expected. Periods of hotter than average temperatures are forecast to continue in our area, further drying fuels and increasing fire danger. In Stage 1 fire restrictions, campfires are only allowed in specific designated recreation sites and established campfire rings. Smoking is only allowed within an enclosed vehicle or building, in one of the designated U.S. Forest Service recreation sites, or in an area at least 3 feet in diameter that's completely clear of all flammable material. Additionally, internal combustion engines, such as vehicles and generators, may only be used on designated roads and trails. There are a few exemptions to this, including boat engines and chainsaws used for cutting firewood. But woodcutters still need to ensure that they're checking the woodcutting status each day prior to cutting by calling 1-800-847-7766. Welding or operating an acetylene or any other kind of torch with an open flame is prohibited. Possession of a valid California campfire permit is not an exemption from these prohibitions. However, California campfire permit holders can use the portable campfire pits, stoves, or lanterns that use gas, kerosene, jellied petroleum, or pressurized liquid fuel as long as it has a working shutoff valve and is used in an area that's at least 3 feet from any flammable materials. California campfire permits are free, and they're available at Forest Service and CAL FIRE offices or online at permit.preventwildfiresca.org. Quote, conditions on the forest are meeting the indices to start fire restrictions for the season, said Plumas National Forest Fire Management Officer Martin Center. Quote, as we enter the time of year when we're at higher risk for wildfire, we need the public to help to prevent human-caused wildfires, unquote. Forest employees and partners are working on critical fuel reduction for community protection and post-fire recovery work. In the recently burned areas, there is concern about increasing potential for wildfire. Dense brush, standing dead trees, and heavy fuels from downed trees will not only burn at high severity, but are more dangerous for firefighters. While firefighters worked on full suppression of the recent letter fire that was started by lightning, firefighter safety was the highest priority, requiring additional safety measures and time. Fallers were needed to cut standing dead trees for firefighters to safely build fire line and mop up. Quote, in addition to being very careful in the unburned areas of Plumas National Forest, we ask that anyone choosing to recreate in an area that has burned in the past 10 years not only watch for hazards, but also be careful with anything that can spark a fire, Center said. Quote, these areas are now at high risk for reburning, and firefighting is more hazardous and requires different strategies for firefighter and public safety, unquote. Suspected wildfires can be reported by calling 911.
Organizers announced that Labor Day weekend in the High Sierra will see the return of the annual Plumas Homegrown Americana Festival to the Plumas Sierra County Fairgrounds in Quincy. The event, which began in 2017, runs August 29th through the 31st. As a lineup of bands plays on the fairground stages, a full schedule of square dancing is set for the weekend at the Tulsa Scott Pavilion. Organizers encourage festival attendees to view the dancing, a truly American activity. Tickets, $60, are sold for either the festival or the dancing, and tickets for either event include admission to the other. Barkey Stage returns to the festival this year with an eclectic schedule of everything from rock to hip-hop. Organizers point out the venue, which features local musicians, is also a great place to chill, jam, or take in a workshop. Tent or RV camping on the shaded grass at the fairgrounds is available for the weekend. Prices, schedules, tickets, and camping information are available at plumasamericana.com. On Friday, August 29th, the event kicks off with a free open mic night. Locals and even some of the festival performers will take the stage. The audience has the option to purchase a spaghetti dinner prepared by Chef Mike. The festival opens at 1 p.m. Saturday, August 30th, with Reno's Wheatstone Bridge, an eclectic acoustic band with roots in folk, Americana, Celtic, and bluegrass traditions. Their original music features gorgeous intertwining harmonies, haunting melodies, and an ever-evolving lineup of folk players. The evening's main event starts around 6:30 p.m. with the wildly popular Sourdough Slim and Robert Armstrong. Hold on to your seat and get ready for a rollicking evening of outrageous humor and song, say organizers. A marvel of musical ingenuity and vaudevillian stagecraft, yodeling cowboy songster Sourdough Slim and stringed instrument wizard Robert Armstrong joyously rekindle the American blues, vintage jazz, cowboy classics, and string band repertoire of pre-World War II America. Sunday starts at 10 a.m. with a gospel service put on by Wildcat Mountain Ramblers on the Old Town stage. The festival wraps up with Newport Nightingales, a trio that dazzled 2019 Plumas Homegrown Americana Festival audiences with spot-on renditions of 40 swing tunes backed up by a band reminiscent of Glenn Miller. For more information and a more detailed lineup, please visit plumasun.org.
Now that the High Sierra Music Festival has wrapped up for this year, its future remains unclear. As we've reported, and the Plumas Sun has reported, in the weeks leading up to High Sierra Music Festival, it was unclear whether the festival was going to be able to go forward this year. But the community gathered around, and festival producer Dave Margulies recognized that if he canceled this year, it would likely mark the end of the festival. So he chose to move forward out of love, hope, and a deep commitment to the musicians, the community, and the team of more than 100 paid folks and another 600 volunteers who helped bring the High Sierra Music Festival to life each year. In a press release, a public relations consultant working with the festival said that they're going to be doing some survey research. They're going to send out 2 surveys pretty soon, one to festival goers and one to people who didn't attend, and their goal is to gather honest feedback about what resonated for them and what changes might be needed to keep the festival going, and that input is going to help determine the fate of the festival. Without significant support and solutions to the financial challenges, the future of this cherished event remains uncertain, says the press release. Quote, I've watched generations grow up at High Sierra. Kids who once came in wagons are now returning with their own children, said Dave Margulies. Quote, that's what keeps me going. But the truth is, unless we figure out how to make this sustainable, I may not be able to bring it back. The love is there, and I just need the support and real solutions to help decide if High Sierra can continue, unquote. And that's it for this edition of KQNY Radio News. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again soon.
This program is a production of KQNY Community Affairs Programming, and it's powered by the Plumas Sun, a group of Plumas County journalists and organizers committed to providing high-quality, objective coverage of local news. The Plumas Sun and KQNY both depend on community support, so please consider helping us out by going to KQNY919.org and plumassun.org and making a donation. Thank you for helping to keep local news on the web and on the air.